There you go. See, 10 seconds and we are live. That's how that works. So this will be a first. So this is now you have to wake up, son, if you're going to be ready to rock and roll here. All right. I'm getting everything kind of situated here. Hold on one second. There we go. All right. So we got comments turned on. So if somebody wants to ask you any questions, they can. I don't know if you put it out there for your friends to know you're going to go live with your dad today. So for those that you don't know, this is my oldest son. This is Michael Cox. He's one of the lead instructors now here at the studio. And I decided to do some of these podcasts with my sons because they have, well, I don't think Ariel will ever do it, but my sons have some stories of their own. So we'll be able to talk about that a little bit. So with no further ado, this is Michael Cox. How old are you now, son? You're 26, 27?
29.
You're 29. What the heck?
Yeah, I just turned 29.
29 years old. Oh, my. I feel kind of old now. Okay, so let's talk about it, Mike. Let's talk about your family first, okay? So I want you to tell everybody when you got married, your wife's name, if you got a dog.
Yeah, Bear. My dog's name is Bear. My wife's name's Haley. I got married 3 years ago on June 24th, 2018.
2018, 1920. So you 3 years already, huh, son?
Mm-hmm.
No, that's good. That's good. Okay, so here's what I thought I'd ask you a couple things, Mike. So first of all, why don't you tell everybody when you started your martial arts training? Why don't we start with that? When did you start?
I started when I was 3 years old.
When you were 3.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think you were pretty consistent all the way through those 3-year-olds. Did you start like with a little dragon or not?
Yeah, I was in Mighty Mites before it was Little Dragons. So
yeah, that's right. We used to call it Mighty Mites, and then it was Little Dragons. Who was teaching that class back then when you were first starting?
I believe it was Ashley Sherman and Hillary.
Ashley and Sherman. That goes way back, doesn't it?
Yeah. I think there's video of me actually, Mr. Carlin found of me taking a Mighty Mites class with both of them teaching.
I remember that. So I don't know if you remember when you were super young, we had your dad was competing quite a bit. You know, Bo was around and we were competing quite a bit. I don't know if you remember those days.
I do.
You know, as a little kid watching your dad do his thing, but I wanted you to tell everybody, Mike, so because you kind of grew up in this, so you started it at 3, and I thought we would talk about a little bit about what it looked like when first of all, what life was like having a dad that has a martial arts school. So we didn't have those family dinners right at like we were used to, most families do. We didn't really have a lot of family dinners. We probably stayed here at the studio quite a bit. And you remember those days? Yeah.
Yeah, it was normal not to have a normal family dinner unless it was like a holiday.
Right. Now,
go ahead.
Yeah, so have you changed that yourself?
Yeah, that I usually try to eat dinner with Haley when I can.
Yeah.
That's usually why I try to leave the school so fast after I'm done teaching, is I try to make it back here for dinner, because during the weekdays when she is teaching, I only got like an hour to an hour and a half before she goes to bed.
So with that being said, Mike, so what was it like so you watched your dad do certain things. What did you say to yourself, if I'm going to do this martial arts thing, what did you think that, hey, I'm going to do this different than what my dad did? What did you like and what did you not like? And you decided that, hey, I'm this is going to be changed up a little bit, because I know there's a few things we've had talks about it before, but why don't you tell what was it like when you started making up your mind what you're going to do?
Um, I was on the side that to try to like be be more at home a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
if I could, and try to, you know I'm trying to find the word, and also Andrea just distracted me by saying I need a haircut.
Matt's giving you the thumbs up because he knows you're probably on the hot seat. This isn't an easy thing to do, because then you're gonna have to say some stuff that might hurt Dad's feelings. So it's just so you know, your dad's got pretty thick skin, so there's nothing you can say that's gonna like hurt my feelings by any means. But I know that you talk to me about sometimes what you're going to be a little bit different. If if your vacations, you want to be vacations, you want to be a little bit
Yeah,
more with your wife. I mean, we spoke about this.
yeah,
You
traveling.
this is something that you probably saw me going through, and you've made a decision that your home life and stuff like that, you want it to be a little bit different. Man, is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, I know you always wanted to like go traveling with us and stuff, so I decided that me and Haley try to go on our own vacations every year.
You see what Carson wrote? Don't do it.
Yeah.
Your dad's very sensitive.
uh, yeah, trying to travel more, go on more vacations, um, stuff like that.
Yeah,
Be at home more.
I think one of the reasons I asked you about this stuff, Mike, is because I think you saw a weakness in. I don't know if it's a weakness, is that the right word, but just something that if you were going to do martial arts for a living, that you wanted it to be a little bit different. I mean, home life was a little bit different for us. You were my oldest, and of course, those that don't know, in 2005 is when I think divorce was final in 2005, but or when it was filed. I don't know. I don't remember. It's been so
Uh,
long ago now, but I mean, what was it like for you, son? As so we have other students and stuff like this, and you were the oldest. So what was it like when mom and dad decided that we're going to get a divorce? What was that like for you as a kid?
well, I was 12 when it first happened, so I was pretty old compared to the other kids. So uh, I was already seeing things that were happening and kind of already understood it. I was still sad, but I understood what was going on, and uh, it didn't take that much time to adjust to everything. It just uh, I mean, there was a bunch of all that craziness that went on,
Uh huh.
and yeah, I was watching the kids a lot when I was with mom. That's why I like being at your house a lot more, uh, because I was watching Gabriel, Daniel, and Ariel all the time when I was with mom.
Yeah. So I say that because I know that you're going to be able to impact some other ones that we spoke about this on what it was like to you know that you have a dad that raised you, so you guys all live with me and I raised you guys, and um but what it was like to grow up fast, because a lot of stuff was put on your shoulders, you know what I mean, and all the other kids, I mean, right? You had to start
Yeah,
making your own meals. You had to start doing your own laundry. I wasn't, you know, I wasn't, babysitting you guys and doing everything that for you guys, making you guys kind of grow up and be that. And so I think it's important that you tell sometimes when you have other kids that are dealing with divorce, that's something that you had to deal with. Now, myself, you see, I didn't have to deal with that, right? Because mom and dad are still, grandma and grandpa are still together. They
hmm
still have a strong marriage, and I don't know. So, in your mind, son, when you got married to Haley, we spoke about this before, that you found yourself kind of a soulmate. You know what I mean? And I've always told you guys that in life, the most important thing you guys can do is your relationship with God and who you're going to pick to serve to serve alongside you in life. And if you have a really good soulmate, it just makes life a lot funner, makes life a lot easier and to
Yes.
go through. And right, I've always said that. So it looks like that's what Haley was for you. Is that correct? I mean, you
Yeah.
guys were, super compatible, and she can deal with your dad really well.
Yeah.
And
He's
so
amazing.
she's, so it's been great, being able to watch you be able to have that, because it's I'm telling you that when the times get tough and you have the right kind of wife, it's going to be, um, and based on your dad's experience, I know how your wife is. She's a really good a good match for you. So as I hope all the rest of my kids, when they get to pick their mates, you agree with that or what?
Yeah,
Watching
I
what
do.
watching what how you grew up and stuff like that. So I want to
Yeah,
hit
I
a
made. Oh,
go ahead.
I made that my goal was to try to find somebody like that, so I didn't run into any issues. That's why Haley ended up being my first my first my first and only girlfriend. And then I waited 8 years. We dated 8 years before I got engaged.
Yeah, that was that's definitely how it was. I mean, I just remember you guys being together this whole time, right? And so people may not know, but remember when you first brought her home and you told me her name, and
Wishing.
I said, right, you said it's Worshington, and I'm like, Worshington, and I said, is her dad named Peter? And you said yes, and we found out that her dad and we all went to junior high school and elementary school together at St. Paul's First Lutheran. Um, I believe he was a grade or two right above me, but we played sports and everything else together, her father and I, which was pretty unique, right?
Yeah, that was
And
pretty crazy.
yeah. So what a full circle that is. So Mike, what I want to hit on now, I've been wanting to ask this about a while ago, a minute ago, because I think you're going to be able to relate to a lot of people. I know Matt right now is online too, um, and myself. There's a lot of people that um, bullying and weight and being heavy and being fat in school and all that kind of stuff. People may not know when you're online here. Now, you were probably,
I was
how much you
240
weigh now,
pounds.
son? 145, 140 pounds?
I'm 145.
So you're 145, and I think you were at 245. Was that your heaviest that you remember?
I was 240 was my heaviest.
240 is when you were the heaviest, and even that was
Yeah,
at third degree black belt. And I think that,
yeah. I was
I think
13.
you were 13 years old, right? So right at the prime when everybody, when that is, right? We before we skip to that though, because we didn't really do. You wanted a season. I think we did a season of baseball, right? One season or two seasons? How many did we do?
We did 2 seasons, when I was 8 and one when I was 10. That was like before I got like uh
Heavy,
heavy,
yeah,
heavy. I was like kind of chubby, but that was like before I got like heavy, heavy.
right.
And I could
So,
have been heavier in high school. I just don't think I weighed myself when I was in high school.
hmm what? So, I mean, did you or did you not? Um, well, how did you like sports? You're not quite like your dad. I played everything. We did baseball. Did you like it? What was your memories from after school sports?
Uh, my I liked baseball. I did always wanted to play hockey, but mom never let me. But I liked baseball a lot. I remember making it to All Stars once. Uh, but the thing I remember most was the my stupid teammates and the one. one time because I played it with Matthew Miller,
Mm-hmm.
uh, and he was out one time, and they made me pitch, and I sucked so bad at pitching that they kicked me off the mound for the rest of the game. Uh, that's like my oh, and getting like slushies after like the game. If you won the game, you got like to a slushie.
Yeah.
Those are my like memories of that.
So do you remember when I made you run?
Yeah, I remember that.
Right. I think
I can't
I
remember the kid's name, but
I
he
don't
was.
remember the kids. It wasn't even the kid. The kid was super disrespectful to the coach. Number one, and when asked to run, his dad jumped up and said, "No, you're not going to make my son run." One of these. Well, what's a dad that's not a Karen? What do they call them?
I think they call him Kevin's.
Kevin's and Karens.
That's what I
Well,
see online.
that's so this Kevin, right? He's just barking at the coach, and I got so irritated with it that I yelled from the stands for you to stand up, and I said, Michael, you're going to run his lap, since and I remember you looking at me like, why am I in trouble? But but you got up, said yes sir, ran the lap, and we sat back down. And I think that was something that I tell that story quite often to let people know that there's definitely a respect level when you're playing with your coaches, and they're out there volunteering times. And doesn't mean that every coach is awesome, but it's just, as a parent, you need to step back, you need to let people coach. And we'll talk about that, my coaching to you when you were fighting in the cage here in a little bit in the podcast. But I remember it like that was yesterday, trying to teach you these lessons. And but I think you're the only one that really played any sports at all,
Yeah,
to be honest with you.
I played soccer for a bit, and then I played baseball, and
Mm-hmm.
you didn't want us to play football uh, because you didn't want us to get our knees jacked up.
Yeah, I hurt myself playing football, even though I did it. High school is where I started hurting my knees, and I mean, I was concussed pretty good in high school. And I don't know if that was the right decision or wrong decision. I just didn't want a bunch of injuries, so instead I let you fight in a cage where you get concussed. So I mean, what's the difference? To be honest
Yeah,
with you, now that you think about it,
yeah,
those are just mistakes you make as a dad. So let's go back to when you were in high school, Mike, and what was it like for you being 100 pounds heavier than you were? I mean, what was going on in your head? What was going on in school? How did you deal with that?
uh, high school was a little easier than middle school because I was at that like homeschool thing with like 30 kids.
Mm-hmm.
So there wasn't like I was still getting made fun of, but it was by a small majority instead of like a whole like school of like 100 kids
Yeah.
that and like 70 of them are bullies or whatever. Uh, but uh, it it makes you sad when you're that overweight, especially when you have like friends who are like you have Andrew who eats like a ton and he stays skinny no matter what. And you know, uh, and Andrew was always there for me. He was always my friend through everything. Uh, but it weighs a lot. It weighs a lot on you being that heavy, and it's hard to like manage certain things. Like I was distracted in school. I was trying to figure out what to do to lose weight, or like why am I not losing weight and stuff like that. What am I doing differently that's than anybody else? Stuff like that.
So, I think, we talk about this often. And so, because I was in school with the same type of thing, your dad, you were a little bit, I want to say you're a little bit different than me. You're not quite as intense as I was back then, but, um, you did stick up for yourself one day, though.
Yeah,
Correct? I
I
mean,
did. I
you,
knocked my bully out in middle school.
yeah. And did he stop making fun of you after that?
Yeah, everybody did after that.
Right? Yeah. They only make fun of us behind our back after that. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? That's how it kind of worked. That's how it kind of worked for me too. A similar thing, son. I don't know if I've ever told you the story, but in ninth grade, I wasn't quite 100 pounds overweight or anything. If you look back at pictures of me, it doesn't really look like I was a fat kid by any means anyway when I was in junior high school. But yet, if you weren't super skinny, you know how it was. You were just made fun of, and and that's how it was. I was on a basketball. I remember it vividly. I was on a basketball on the concrete asphalt in St. Paul's, and the one guy kept on just hammering me. You know, he was a little faster than I was. I didn't run quite as bit, and I just couldn't take it anymore. And I just picked him up and I just threw him on the ground. You know what I mean? And I wasn't doing any martial arts. You know,
Mm-hmm.
so um, I just took him and I really just pile drove him and onto the ground. And I remember that day vividly. I mean, we didn't know anything about MMA or anything like that. All I remember is throwing him and wanting to just, kick his teeth out of his mouth. That's what I remember. And pretty soon, I mean, any of that stuff stopped going, right? I mean, you've been around other fat people in school and heavyset people, right? Either they make fun of themselves a lot, or they joke around and they're the class clown, and
Mm-hmm.
they make fun of themselves while everybody else makes fun of them, or you stick up for yourself and you become almost a bully yourself. You know what I mean? Because anybody that looks at you, you already automatically think, what is this guy thinking? What is this guy doing? And so I've watched this with you guys forever. I don't know. Sometimes, son, if I look back and I go, what was it like for us back in the day when divorce was first happening, and I'm trying to get a place that's more stable, and I have a house for you guys all have your room, and what are we doing? We're eating pizzas every day because that's what was easy, or we go through drive-through Taco Bell, or all the fast food that we used to eat, just trying to, get through this divorce, and I probably added to it, but also knowing that you're suffering in high school because you're trying to figure out what happened. But at some point, Mike, you made a change in your mind, I guess. And how did that go? And how did you go on your journey just to make this change?
I started with I started I talked to Mr. Carlin because he was doing workouts at the studio because I'm not a gym person. I don't like the gym that much. I like being alone. I like being alone when I work out, even though I'm social. I like being when I'm working out. I like being alone. Uh, and I'd work out with Mr. Carlin like every Monday and Wednesday in the mornings for like 2 hours, and then I would just monitor my portions of what I was eating and stopped eating chips every meal, or like stopped snacking. Like I used to have like a cup of milk and I would pour like a bag of cookies into it. So I stopped like doing that, and monitoring what I eat uh, uh, with portion control.
And so you just went on this on yourself, correct? And you just decided that this is what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And right, there's no, you saw Ronnie come on here, right, and say amazing journey and amazing destination. You can tell, I'm going to have Ronnie on the show soon, and you'll hear a little bit more about me. But just like yourself, like there's no magic formula, right, son?
No.
There's workout and diet. There's no magic pill. There's no magic
Yeah.
nothing. It's a mindset. And when you made your mind up, son, for others, that are young like yourself, but because people have no idea that that's how you were. I mean, they don't even see it like that anymore, right? So
Yeah. And it's
when
been
did you
over 10
decide?
years.
When did you decide this is what I'm going to do, and I'm not going to waver from it? How did you come to that mindset, and why did you come to it?
When I was 17. No. Yeah, I was 17. And I was tired of I was tired of being fat. I was tired of like moving slow. I started people looking at me weird. So I decided that I'm gonna try to lose it and work out.
Right. So with that being said, right, we get tired of the looks, the comments in the background, because most everything in life today, it's like how you look or whatever. And I'm not saying that we need to be we can't be healthy. And then I don't know if it hurts you coming up watching your dad being a heavy set dude, a fat guy, and they would make fun of your dad. And I don't know I don't know if that ever got to you, or if you really heard anything, or you just felt your dad take care of himself anyway. I don't know how that affected you at all. Did that affect you at all?
I didn't really hear any of it coming to you
Uh huh.
until until recently, and then
Hmm.
if I see those people that are making fun of you on the sparring mat, then it'll be a different story. But
Well, that's been something on your dad's. That's been a monkey on my back for a long time. You've lived with me. You know it. You know how much I work out. You know that I'm a very deceptive fat guy. I'm extremely fast. I've always been kind of athletic. I don't know why I've done this thing. I've lost 100 pounds just like you will have, and I still got more to go. You know what I mean?
mhm.
And it sucks. So there's nothing good about it, but it is what it is, And so I was always wondering how that. But now that you are where you're at, right now you're down to 140 pounds.
Yeah,
Right. We had an incident here not too long ago, right? And so when we're young, right, we're made fun of you're a fat piece of shit or whatever, however that goes. And now, now you're a skinny ass. I mean, that last time you had an altercation, that's what they're screaming at you. So it really doesn't really matter where you're at. Somebody always has got something to say, right? You're fat, you're skinny, you're black, you're white, you're Asian, you're stupid, you're a nerd, you're retarded. I mean, it is a constant battle uh, amongst ourselves, right? In today, and do you agree that this is why we teach these kids? How many kids have you came across that you've kind of taken around, and going, that you've wanted to help just because of what they've gone through? Have you experienced that now?
yeah, a lot of kids. I actually just had a conversation with two students
Mm-hmm.
the last Thursday for like 45 minutes on them being bullied and that resulting in them being angry with their parents at home.
Right.
And
And
but
so
they're not getting bullied for their weight, they're getting bullied for like religion and stuff like that.
so I think that, see, so you're equipped now. So you're equipped for being able to help others because of what we've gone through. You right. And um I've been in that same position. I have been with Ronnie where I can vividly remember us doing an arm workout one day, and I had a lot of pressure on me. Um, I just wasn't feeling good, and I was trying to work hard, and things weren't happening. I remember him pushing me through, and if I remember, see, it was at crunch, and I'm doing these arm things in a machine, and I have tears streaming down my face. He's got tears streaming. I remember like it was yesterday, and that's probably why your dad has such a heart for those that are bullied or made fun of, and me having this studio. And I believe that some of that has rubbed off on you, because it definitely, I just don't like it. You know what I mean? I
Yeah.
don't like people having to go through that. And even as an adult, it's even different. You get intimidated online, uh or people try and intimidate you. I just don't like it. I don't adhere to that at all. And so I've seen you make your own transfer. So let me tell you, so once you did do that, Mike, do you feel like that's where your life changed? Do you feel like you have a better life now that you made that decision?
Yeah, it definitely felt better. I was able to do more things. I was glad I lost it more at a young age. because I did that from 17 to 18 that year. So the like repercussions of being overweight, it didn't really I didn't really get that much. Like I don't have that much excess skin uh, to deal with and stuff like that. So I ended up being pretty lucky with that. So and being able to like, I mean, yeah, I try to do everything, but uh, I'm not good at a single thing. But if I didn't lose weight, I wouldn't be able to go. I wouldn't be able to do like skateboarding and skimboarding and surfing, all stuff I try to do a lot, but I'm not super good at either of them. But it's still fun.
Well, right, it's still fun. I mean, if you really wanted to, and you're going to push the envelope, and that's what you're going to do. All that is just like your martial arts. You're just going to take it and go with it. That it is what it is. When you decide you want to do something, whether you get good at it or not, it's the thing. I watched it completely change your life. I think that's how you got your confidence back. I think that's how you got your wife, even though she had to ask you to marry her.
No,
Uh,
she had to ask me out. I asked her to
okay.
marry me.
Oh, that's right. That's right. The day you got engaged was like you're leaving the studio and you're like, "Hey, Dad, I'll be
Yeah,
back in a while. I'm going to get engaged." I'm like, "You didn't even tell me about it, right? You're just hiking up the hill,
yeah,
and
hiking up Stony Point.
that's what." And then I found out by you leaving and saying, "Yeah, I'll be engaged when I get back." Dad, and I remember that. Yeah, I definitely remember that. So the Well, you had so before we get to you've lost this weight. We've talked about this now on what that feels like, right?
Hmm.
And the bullying and what that and yeah, you've taken your life back. Um, but you and I've talked too, right? So there's sometimes Daniel has the same thing, even though Daniel's just such a serious athlete, but sometimes when he's looking in the mirror, right, he's what's he say? He's like, Dad, you still feel fat, you still look fat. You get those same things. Is that correct? Sometimes when you look in the mirror.
I do not as much anymore, but I still do. Or like if I eat, like if I eat like a lot of food, it's kind of a weird feeling. Like you feel like you're gaining weight like
Yeah.
the second you eat or after you eat, which is totally not true, but you feel you feel like parts of your body growing after you eat sometimes, or if you eat like a lot,
Hmm.
or if you eat like a food that you don't normally eat.
Yeah, that's true. You've told me that there's times that when you look in the mirror, it's still like, what do I look like in this or anything, of the sort. It's always kind of been a I don't know, that body dysmorphia. But then you told me also that you went to some counseling for this. Is that correct?
Yeah, I did, and that's what helped me get through a lot of it.
Did you find it hard? Because like Daniel's trying to go through that same thing. You and Daniel have two different things? When I have Danny on, it'll be even more heart wrenching when we talk about it. But did you find it hard to find somebody that can help men with this type of stuff?
I actually did not. I called Kaiser and I asked them for a person that specializes in what was going on, and they gave me this person, and then that's who I've been with ever since then.
And
Uh,
did they give you some? I don't know, Mike. So when this happened, did they give you? Because I really haven't talked to you about this. Did they give you ways to cope, or what do you feel was the best thing out of it to help you? What came out of it that helped you the most?
they give you certain strategies, like asking, like you have to ask yourself questions, like did what you just eat really really make you gain weight, or did what you ate today really make you gain weight, or it's like battling like the voice in your head is what they give
Hmm.
you. And it's just like keeping yourself grounded with certain questions to make it better, or like to trick your brain back into thinking that you haven't gained weight, where you're not fat or anything like that.
Yeah, that's quite weird because I've watched you because you are somebody that does enjoy food. You know what I mean? You've watched your dad for how long? You know that your dad. I don't even enjoy food. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I don't enjoy restaurants. Many times we all go out. I don't even get anything. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it's so I get that because you are somebody that enjoys food. You
Yeah.
enjoy sugar.
Yeah.
Uh,
I love sweets.
and
So I just move around a lot more. That's what I
right. So yeah, right. So right, I tell everybody that all the time, right? There's this kind of a burpee thing. So if you want to have an Oreo cookie, that's 50 calories, that's going to cost you 12 burpees. Is 12 burpees worth the Oreo cookie? You know what I mean?
mm-hmm.
That type of mentality. So but I've watched it been able to turn it around. It's probably why um you know you have a wife and stuff because it definitely helped with your confidence and stuff like that. So that's been good. Those that don't know don't really, um, know the struggle that it is. I mean, you and I, Daniel, we have a heart for those that are overweight as it is because we know how heart wrenching it can be. And it's not just you don't just have to be overweight. You can be 10 pounds overweight and it weighs on you just as much as we were 100 pounds overweight. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's just one of those things. So, well, let's fast forward then, Mike. So let's you were definitely in way better shape on your master's test than you ever were when your third degree, but you took a break from martial arts too, right? You got your third degree, and then what happened?
I took a break. I took a 2 or 3 year break.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Part of it, like the initial break was like my thing, right? I just wanted to take like I regret it. I wish I didn't do it because I wanted to take like maybe like a 2 month or 4 month break, but then ended up turning into like 2 or 3 years because I was like right when the divorce was bad,
Uh-huh.
right? And there's like that period of time where I wasn't allowed to like see you for what, like a year or so, if you remember that. There
Yeah,
was like
it
that
it
period of
it
time
was
where
it was a very limited time, and it wasn't quite a year, even though it seems like quite a year. You know what I mean? I remember that. Yes. Yeah, I know it
yeah,
sucked.
so that was like when the divorce was bad. And then, like I tried coming back at like what, 16 or something, or 15, 14 or
Mm-hmm.
15 with Andrew. And then I stopped because I was overweight. And then once I lost everything, that's when I kind of came back full force.
I think that's where it just wasn't as fun being heavy and trying to do the martial arts, right? I mean, it just wasn't, and I know being in the martial arts, you know how it was when I tested when I was, and I don't know. I guess just because I was so used to it, it wasn't that hard for me coming up the ranks. So I don't really know what it would have been like if I was, um, you know, the super fit, if you want to call it, whatever, coming up the martial arts. But I know that, if Matt's still on here too, he'll tell you the same thing. Matt from out in Pooler, he was a heavy set little kid too, and you can see him today. I mean, he's just an athlete at this point, and I think that's what turned the corner. And then I think that's what gave you some confidence that you decided you want to fight in the cage, right? I mean, what made you decide you wanted to try and do these fights?
Uh, I was training a lot. I was training with Alex. I was training with Mr. Carlin, and I really wanted to test my skills against people.
Uh huh.
I like competing. I'm not afraid to. I like winning, but I'm not afraid to lose. I enjoy testing my skills and competing, and so when the church things were coming up, or the first cage fights, which was for the churches, which was Justin Reese versus Justice,
Uh huh.
and I was like, I'll fight on it. And then I started like kicking up my training more, and Yeah, if I didn't lose weight, I probably would not have done it because I probably wouldn't have competed overweight because I wanted to compete at my best, level.
Yeah. Yeah. So I remember your first fight. I mean, what was it like for you? What was that feeling like when you're across the cage and you see your opponent and uh what was that like? I mean, I'll give you my assessment because I was in your corner on the very first one, and that's super hard for me to coach because I just kind of wanted to kill everybody in the room. You know what I mean? So it was as a dad to try and coach you. It was a little bit different, so I had to kind of hand the reins over a little bit. But what was it like for you when you're going across the cage? And how many rounds was your first one? How many rounds did
There,
you go?
I went all three. I went all three 3-minute rounds, and I was nervous at first. I had like a little bit. I was calm but nervous, and then like as soon as the fight started, I like the nerves kind of went away, and I mean I tripped. Though in my first fight, I tripped him in like the first like 3 seconds of the fight, so that was pretty like a good confidence boost at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
But like as soon as I got hit myself, I was like, okay, this is not bad at all. And then I just did my normal thing, which was try to knock him out, but I didn't end up doing it. He was like he was a I fought Reese the first time, if you
Uh-huh.
remember Reese, and he was like we were like almost the same weight class. I think he was like 15 pounds heavier than me.
Right.
And
Yeah, our weight classes these were smoker fights, so it's not like the weight class is right on the money.
yeah, so
Um,
he kept trying to pin me against the cage. Um, but he was a much like I feel like he was a better opponent than my my other one because he was actually throwing strikes that were gonna hurt me, whereas
uh-huh.
unless my adrenaline was so high on my second fight because the my second fight the only shots that really hurt was when he hit me in the nuts and then it kept hitting me with elbows in the face.
Yeah.
uh
Now, who was your second fight?
Scott McDonald.
Yeah, I remember that one too. Did you do two or three fights? How many did you do?
I only did two
You did
because
two
I got
cage
a
ones.
I got a I got a bad concussion after the second fight. Not from the fight, from a seminar.
Yeah, right. I remember that. I remember. Yeah, I remember. Yeah, McDonald's. Yeah, sparring with you on that. So you did two cage fights in that. And did that one go to the 3 rounds too?
Yes, that one I remember uh, a lot more because all like Mr. Crown was like constantly, he's like, you need to take him to the ground and finish him. And I'm trying really hard to get him to the ground. I just can't. And I said I'm just gonna keep punching him really hard and hopefully he falls over. But
I re-
if
yeah, I remember that. Well, your skill level now, probably we are pretty lax in wrestling as far as that goes. But I would imagine your ground skills now would have probably been a little bit different. Uh,
Yeah, my wrestling, I was still pretty new to it. Like I was like only like 6 months in with like wrestling and like and like real like jujitsu, not just the grappling we did in class.
right. Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
or well, I was doing Mr. Carlin was teaching like grappling in the mornings before workout, so that but I was still like new. I didn't know anything.
Yeah.
Although
Yeah.
I still don't know anything, but uh, uh, but it'd be a lot different if I competed today.
Yeah. Well, isn't that a testament to what it is? I mean, when now you have that story to also tell other students that, listen, here, this is how weak I was. And, I took a break here and then I came back and I did my journey of my health and I got there. And then I'm here if we would have had. Isn't that the beauty of our school now? Because we have all this stuff in play, whether it's a Krav Maga, and it's our Tang Soo Do, and we got our Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, and then we've got a good thing for an average person to come and train and be able to do things. You know what I mean? I mean, if we're going to go to fight like Blake just did, or something like that, then of course you got to go to the next level, right? Because Alex did a lot of these fights too, and we can take you to a certain level, but if we're going to go up a level to really compete, we've got to get to some fight coaches and I think that's the difference of martial arts schools, right? We are a self-defense school. That's what we are. This is what we do, is teach people how to defend themselves. A self-defense school, a fighting school. But if you're going to be a fighter and stuff like that, you need to get to people that have experience in that cage all the time and stuff like that. And I don't think we didn't have Lewis back then either to work on your striking at all, did we?
No. Lewis helped me a lot with just, muscle memory and power,
Yeah.
and I can't wait till I can go back to doing that stuff with him. But I've thrown, jabs and punches a million times and hooks a million times, and you don't know that once you start working with, Lewis, who's throwing, like, holding mitts and doing mitts and knows how to, and has fought Muay Thai for many years, that you aren't throwing as hard as you can, and that you're throwing all your strikes wrong, and then you have to relearn how to throw all your strikes.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So I think it was good. I think I pushed you those ways because I think in your earlier days, even probably in the cage, sometimes you kind of fought like your dad. You kind of like how a dad is. And, I'm kind of a bulldog, and I like to get in there. I like to mix it up. I don't mind the hitting and stuff like that, but you're really not built like I am. So I don't think that fighting style fits you the perfect. You know what I mean? And so I think that's why you decided to, I tried to push you off to Mr. Carlin and some of the other guys, because you need to be able to, hang, you know what I mean? And do things that's going to benefit you. So, that's what I was envisioning for you there, but it was good.
I did used to fight like that. I didn't care. I mean, I still don't. I care a little bit more that I get hit, but I don't care if I get hit. But I used to really not care if I get hit. I would stand there with Brooks and Edgar, and I would slug it out with them until they decided they didn't want to get hit by me no more, and then once I got my concussion, Mr. I still work with Mr. Carlin every week still, with my footwork and striking and movement. He's helped me become a really good fighter. People have a hard time catching me and sparring. My footwork for being able to move my head is really good now. I don't have to really worried about, at least right now. There's always somebody who's better. I don't want to be
that's definitely, there's always a day someone's gonna be cranking on us. That's a given, and even on our best days, we have, how it is, right? Whether it's grappling, whether it's fighting, we leave class sometimes where we're just as high as we can be because we had such a great class, and we leave other times where we're like, man, that really sucked.
Oh yeah, those days where you're those days where you feel like you're gonna have a good class, and then you just get your butt handed to you by literally everybody.
Yeah, I've had that. So those are definitely lessons, I guess, learned. I'm watching you. I'm watching you kind of grow into your own here. I think you feel, son. Do you feel, yes or no, that you're not really in my shadows? Do you feel like you're your own man at this point? You feel like that, or do you feel like you're in dad's shadows sometimes, or you feel like you've broke out enough that you're not Mr. Cox's son, you're Michael Cox with his own stories? What do you think?
I feel I feel like I've broken out enough, at least for our studio and maybe some of the other studios. But I feel like at some studios I'm still like they're like, oh, that's Mr. Cox's son, but
Uh-huh.
maybe because they don't know who I am yet or I haven't
Right.
been to their studio. Uh,
Uh-huh. Well, you have this I've tried to make it to I mean, I don't know. You've watched your dad for a long time. You know, you see that I've done a lot of stuff. You know what I mean? Whether it's Hapkido, whether it's in Krav Maga, and done all that kind of stuff. So I think you follow in those footsteps. I think I've always told you that I want you to be as multifaceted as what I am. You know what I mean? What I think, finishing off your Krav Maga, making you more well rounded, continue on with this Brazilian Jiu Jitsu because I think the Brazilian Jiu Jitsu is going better now because I'm really invested in it. You know what I mean? And I think,
mhm.
son, when you're doing that, you you have to be able to invest yourself. You know what I mean? And that's why I've never pushed you. I mean, I lean on you to say, hey, you need to be in class, or hey, if you can't take class, you need to be here taking notes. You need to be
Mhm.
in the first half of class and just get on the mat because I know how instructors look at things. All right, it doesn't mean that you have to go balls to the wall every time you're on the mat, but when you have this kind of an attitude of, I'm here to absorb the what I can and working through an injury because that's the bottom line right now. You have an injury. You had right before your last test, you had your wrist done. I think a ligament or something to that effect that went on there, correct?
Yeah,
And
I snapped a ligament in
right.
half, a tendon in half.
Uh-huh. And so, and then of course, I remember I told you, I said, they always say it's going to be, 6 months and you're good to go. And I said, you're going to be a year into this before you ever even remotely start having some kind of thing. And then, son, what you're going to happen next is when you start competing, like I remember when my knees, right, I get real nerve wracked on whatever I do that I'm just going to get hurt and then I'm going to have to go through this pain again, or I'm not going to be able to train anymore because I'm injured. So, I'm always kind of babying my knees and stuff like that when I had knee replacements. And I mean, I know you've watched me go through all the stuff that I go through, but, um, part of my thing, that's why I'm glad to see you do what you did is part of my injuries come from being a fat athlete. You know what I mean? I was athletic, but I was still carrying around weight. And so I'm just pounding myself continually. And your dad played a lot of basketball. People probably don't know that about me, but I used to love to play. I really didn't play basketball. It was more like basket brawl. We would go after school pickup games and I would love to bang. And your dad loved sports. I just loved it. I played football and I banged around on the on playing basketball and stuff like that. So I'm glad that at least at least you've got your health where it's dialed in and you're able to do that. So I mean that's kind of some of the stuff that I went through at least that I may not ever talk to you about, but I
No,
think that
yeah,
when you got this fear that when you go back your wrist is going to get jacked up and you're going to have to go get surgery again and then have another year of some kind of bullshit that you've got to rehab and do all that kind of stuff. I mean, you watch me with knee replacement. You know,
yeah.
that was no fun by any means, and that's why I never did my right knee because I just don't want to go through it again. So I decided not. That's not what I'm going to do, and so I don't
Yeah,
know. I
that
think that talking about being your own man. I think that you've definitely stepped out. There's things that you can do way better than your old man could ever do, and and I'm sure that you still can pick up stuff from me because on what you can. So I mean, where do you see what do you see your weaknesses are, and then what do you see what your strengths are? What do you think your weaknesses are?
uh um my weaknesses like just in martial arts.
Just in general, I mean, what do you think? Where and right now in your life, son, where do you feel the weaknesses are, and you're trying to change, whether it's physical, whether it's mental, martial arts or just life in general? What do you feel that when you're sitting by yourself with your own thoughts? I mean, what are you thinking? I need to improve in this area.
I need to improve in my training time.
Mm-hmm.
Just not essentially just coming to class, right? But I just need to, I try to plan on like training every morning, right? Like come to the studio and train, a different thing every morning. And Tuesday and Thursdays are my workouts. Uh,
Right.
but I've been lacking on that. Um, that's an area where I've been weak for like a good month on that right now.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and I would say I think I could get my work ethic could probably be a little bit better too.
So that's good. So you see it. So, and the reason I asked that is because we can't improve anything unless we have it, pointed out in our head on what it is. So, um, you know, with that being said, son, I mean, it's always easy for us to find what our weaknesses are. What do you think your strengths are? That you bring to the table that you helping other students with in their life. What do you think?
I'm good with kids.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, um, it's hard to think about. It's hard
Right,
to think
right.
about it all at
And
once.
that's the reason I asked you, because isn't that the reason? Isn't that weird how that is? If I can ask you, if I ask somebody, even myself, right? If you ask somebody, hey, what do you think your weaknesses are, man? They'll pile off this. I'm weak here and da, da, da. And I said, what do you think that your strengths are? And they're like, I don't know. It's almost like we have no feeling of any kind of strength that we have. I'm good with kids, and what does that mean? So I
Yeah.
thought that that's. And I asked that question because this happens quite often when I ask people these questions of, what's your strength and what's your weaknesses, and you know, um, even your sister, when she was just doing her little job interview thing, she's like, "Oh, Dad, what do you think? What's my and she can rattle off weaknesses, but it's always harder to rattle off strengths. Okay, so
Yeah.
I'll rattle off your strengths real quick, and then we're coming up on an hour on this already, but I can tell you this: what made you? One thing you have is this heart for um, kids with disabilities. All right. Now, I don't know. Do you feel that came from Carson, being able to be exposed to that, or do you feel like you always had it?
Uh, no, I think it came from Carson because I didn't start working with them until I was with Carson and Matt,
Mm-hmm.
working with those kids.
Right. I feel we've I've always had I've had some with Down syndrome and stuff like that before in the thing, but I was exposed to it more through Carson's school because he has such a big program for it. And I think that's the same thing, right? We have a super heart for them because uh, have those kids not just right. It's just fun to be with them, right? When they're just so happy. When that video you had of you crawling around on the ground with Maddox, you remember that?
Mm-hmm.
And to see how big he is today, and he's almost shaving now. Can you believe that? Uh,
That's funny.
is right. And so seeing that, having that opportunity, and then I guess it gave us a little bit different heart. Remember, we had some special needs. Remember, we had one special needs, and remember that one parent that we had, and she even went on Yelp and gave a negative review because we had a special needs kids in class, and he did something kind of inappropriate. I don't know if it was a hitting or something like that. And we,
Yeah, it was
right,
Nicholas
yeah,
Milgard.
and he was just he had a struggling day, and yeah, that was
Mm-hmm.
inappropriate and stuff like that. And I'm hoping that having kids around that with special needs is able to um be okay to be around them. It's okay to talk to kids that are in wheelchairs or people that are in wheelchairs and stuff like that. And I remember that day vividly, that parent took me in the back and said, if he needs to not be in class, and da-da-da. And I told her that day, I said, I'm not kicking any special needs kids out of my school. And
Mm-hmm.
if this isn't a fit, then I guess it's not a fit. And she ended up leaving with a negative review because we had special needs in here. I'll
Yeah,
never forget it. I'll never forget that. I was
I
like,
remember that.
I was so taken back by it that I was like, how do people do this? I don't how is this okay? And so I think that that's one of your strengths is you have this. The other strength that you have, son, is you just kind of enjoy life. You have fun. You know what I mean? I think that's what people like to be around you now. So you have a wife that's kind of an introvert and you're an outrovert, right? So
Yeah.
she likes to kind of be here and you like to be the social butterfly, and you just kind of like kicking back, laying back, and having your days, and I think that having those hard conversations with me as your dad, like, hey, dad, listen, I'm doing this. There's going to be times that I'm doing vacations with my wife. I'm going to be doing this because, you remember that we didn't have much of that. With a divorce in, your dad was always working. If we went on vacation, it's usually because I had a seminar and then we would do vacation, right? I would do a
Mm-hmm.
seminar and then we'd do vacations, or we go to Georgia or whatever. We just never, I'm hoping that next year, 2022, right, we actually have a family vacation as you guys are all grown men and women now, but that we have something together. I'm looking forward to seeing if maybe we have a Hawaii trip in our short term thing. But
Oh, I would be awesome.
so that's what I'm looking for. I just think that you have this. Okay, now, so I mean, how many people get a bachelor's degree in school like yourself in recreational management, and you had a blast in college, right? And you came out of college with zero debt. Your wife came out of college zero debt, and you just had fun hang gliding, not hang gliding, climbing and uh, caves and wave boarding,
Wakeboarding.
and you had a way of making your school. You had just a good time doing your college. It took you a little bit longer, right? It took you a while to get that because it was, you were not as focused in it when you first started it. But to say that, son, I mean, all of my kids have graduated more college than I ever have, right? Whether it's you with your bachelor's, Ariel's got her two of those AA degrees. Danny's got two AA degrees. Now he's going over to CSUN. Gaby graduated from MTI, and then he's in Moore Park right now doing his stuff. And you guys have all been, as far as school goes, way better than your dad ever does. Because I didn't like school. You didn't like school either. You just made you like it, so you went and played at school,
Yes. Yeah.
right?
I changed my major until to to find out what I wanted to do for fun because I changed my major like 3 times.
Right. And so, and then here you are kind of at the school, and, we'll see how we've had serious talks about where that's going to go. How you going to do that? I mean, what do you think about the school? What do you think? What's the difference now, Michael, from when you started martial arts? Whether it's, you can talk about me or what kind of different instructor I am today than what I was thing. What do you see is from the old days that you liked better, and to the new days, what you think has improved as far as the school goes? What do you think about old school? Because you were with me old school, correct?
Mm-hmm. Uh, we the old school was pretty intense.
Uh
Thank you, Vanessa.
huh.
Uh, uh, the old school was pretty intense. I feel like, um, is you had a, it's a hard time to get, especially if you were struggling, like getting your rank is hard. You have to go up in front of everybody, and
hmm
because I still did, I think I was like the last group of people that still did the old color belt testings where I had to get up in front of you, Mr. Carlin. Uh, I think Stanley Z,
Yeah, Stanley
Zach,
Z. Yeah, yeah.
and Ashley Sherman. And I had to get up in front of all of you guys, do my tests, and then see if I failed or not. And I failed my test. I failed my red belt, one of my red belt tests. One of them I failed. I don't know which one. I don't remember.
Kind of
But
remember. I mean, there was a time too I didn't let Bo test for his red belt because of grades. I mean, it was old school back then. It
yeah,
didn't matter if you were my kid or not my kid. You know what I mean? Um,
well, people don't realize that it is a lot tougher being your kid than it is to not be your kid because you get graded a lot harder.
yeah. Well, and I knew that going in too. I knew that going in that, I think part of it was, Mike, I wanted you to be your own person, not your dad's shadow, because I've seen other schools that did that already, you know what I mean? Or let
Mhm.
their kids skate through or whatever. And I just didn't want it. I was much more hardcore back then. I mean, what was it like having a dad like me? Um, as you're your own man, 29 years old now, what lessons did you take from me and that you want to carry on, and which ones do you feel that you know well, we already talked about what you're going to make a difference, because that dad was just a workaholic, man. I always have been, just like my own father. And you've decided that you want a little bit more family time and with your wife and grow that, you know
Mhm.
and so we've talked about what you want to change. What did you take from me as a dad? Because I was pretty hard. I'm an old school pop, you know what I mean? And I wanted you guys to have respect for others and stuff like that, and not give up. And your no means no, and your yes means yes. So what did you take from it?
Yeah, not patience is definitely uh, one thing I took from it. Mental toughness.
Uh huh.
I have pretty good mental toughness from, you know, from over the years. Growing up with you.
Uh huh.
Yeah, uh, I have to, if I'm getting in an argument like outside of anywhere, I have to like control myself from laughing because these people don't even hold a candle to it. Uh, it's really funny. I have to really like control myself not to like laugh in this person's face because it doesn't matter what they say to me. But mental toughness, patience, you know, you know, just just being a good person overall is what I took from it.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I appreciate that, son. Those are some good compliments for you, pops. But as hardcore as I am, anybody that really knows me, I'm kind of a teddy bear down deep. I care deeply for people. I always have. I've always wanted my sons to care the same way. My exterior may be one thing, but down deep underneath, I have a love for people, and I don't like see people suffering. I don't like see people pick on the weak. And my biggest regret was not doing military. I should have done it when I had the chance, but that's just me. This is just me because I've kind of got that sheepdog mentality, and I think all you guys. Uh, uh, yeah, see, Vanessa says patience from Mr. Cox. Interesting. She doesn't really know me. That's why. You know what I mean? I have extreme patience, especially when it's come that you want to learn. I don't have any patience for excuses, but I have extreme patience for those that want to take the lessons, learn from the lessons, and continue on. That's one thing about me. I do not tolerate much. I'm not patient with excuses. I'm not patient with that kind of stuff. That's what you don't know about me, Vanessa. But you agree with that, right, Mike? I mean, you've seen me with, um, I'm extremely patient when I want to be. So, uh, look at Christopher Wachowski. I think he's in Poland. Is he in Poland listening to this? Okay, this is great. He
Yeah.
knows. He knows. He's from old school. Christopher Wachowski. You know, exercising patience is not an easy thing. I do it today. Self control. There's a difference between self control and patience, right? Having patience for somebody is having patience for stupidity. I don't have it. Uh, Um, Christopher, that bar. That's all I'm going to say. Yeah, we're not going to talk about that. Um,
I know it.
that's
I know exactly what night he's talking about.
yeah, we're not getting to that. Um, That's funny. I've learned my lesson. So, but listen, son, we're rolling up on a minute 10 already, or an hour 10, and we didn't do it. So everybody knows I didn't give any kind of leading questions to what I was going to ask Michael today. I wanted it to be pretty raw. I'm going to do the same thing with Daniel. Daniel's going to be a little bit more intense, and because he's suffered a little bit more than what you guys did in the divorce. I mean, you guys came out of a divorce. All I can tell you about the divorce is it made me be a better dad. I can tell you that. And because I just was forced into something that, first of all, I'm not going to fail at it. And, I prayed quite often, just so you know, and I don't know if you ever know this, son. I said, Lord, get me to get all my kids at least to 18. Let me be around enough for that. And he's gone way beyond and past that. Now it's, can I get all my, get all you guys in some kind of a career and your brothers and sisters and you guys be able to get along as siblings is my next goal, and that's like pulling teeth. But
you gotta wait for them to move out. That's what happens. My relationship with them improved a lot once I moved out because I wasn't with them every day.
Right. Yeah, I get it. But you've been good, son. You've done you've done great wonders here. I'm looking forward to seeing what happens next. With what we do here at the studio, and I think getting to be out there. I just talked to Carson today, so you're probably going to go.
And I need to send him a photo. I forgot to send him a photo of something.
Yeah,
he needs a photo of me.
Dickie said, "Is it similar to that prayer I hear almost daily?" No, Dickie. The prayer you hear daily is, "Dear Lord, please don't let me kill this child." That's what you hear. So anyway, that was fun today, son. I look forward to the next time we get together. So we'll see how many. We had quite a few people listening almost all day. We had anywhere from 10 to 15 online all the time, and popping through sometimes up to 25. So that means a lot of people wanted to hear about you. Our Georgia family has definitely been out there online, just so you know. You know what I mean? So it's Tiffany here. I think she's from Mr. Pearson's out there, for sure. But I appreciate it, son. Hope your day. You do have work today, just so you know. Whenever you're going to stroll on down, we'll look forward to seeing you. By the way, today mats get delivered at the mats are getting delivered at the CME studio at noontime today.
Okay.
All right. Okay.
Do you need me to? I mean,
we'll talk about it offline. But we'll talk about it offline. But we got some new mats coming in, and we'll be going. We'll be doing that. So I appreciate you, son. I love you, kid, and we'll see you soon at the studio. All right. Bye, man.